Buzzpound, thank you for joining again for season two, episode two. For those who listen to us, we appreciate you. Ian is off doing great things on his end. He would or should be back next week. So it'll be just be me today. We'll be going over week one, which was a heartbreak, not even a heartbreak of a game. It was a rinse and repeat of a game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those who saw the game saw the game. Those who saw the stats of the game saw the stats of the game. All in all, we made the Jacksonville Jaguars look like a good team. Not that they're not a good team. They're better than us, obviously, but we made them look like a really good team. Guess we'll go ahead and dive into it, right? Am I right? It's like I said, it's rinse and repeat at this point. It's nothing new. Um, People like myself, I'm not a guy that's going to go all in on these guys. There's a lot of other voices out there and fans out there that go all in. I'm a guy that stays positive. I don't let things such as sports get me completely down, unless it's losing in the Super Bowl after coming off a 15-1 season. That's a different story. But in this case, it's just another year, same result. And with those results, we'll go into some of the statistics of this week one game versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The final score was 26-10. It felt like it was more than that. And I'm sure if Ian was here, he would completely agree with me. So we're going to start with some stats here, starting with quarterback Bryce Young, 18 of 35 completions, which was a 51.4%. We also got 154 passing yards, one touchdown, two interceptions, and a 48.9 passer rating. Running back, Chuba Hubbard, he had 16 rush attempts for 57 yards, one reception for 27 yards, and a touchdown. The only touchdown of the game. Keep that in mind. Wide receiver Ted McMillan, the rookie, had a solid game. Five receptions on seven targets, 68 yards. He personally was my standout player of the game. Wasn't a good game by all means from the Panthers, but he showed heart. I like what I saw, but we'll get into that a little later. Going on to some more notable stats on the offensive end, tight end Jatavion Sanders, three receptions, 39 yards. Wide receiver Hunter Renfrow, four receptions, 29 yards. Now on to defense. J.C. Horn, one sneaky interception. That was personally my play of the game. He really came out of nowhere while we weren't making any noise and making any splashes of any sort in this game. He came out of nowhere and caught that interception. Thought we were going to do something with it, but by that point, the game was pretty much out of our hands. But again, this is nothing new. You see me the way I'm reacting, it's nothing new at all. I am so accustomed to Panther football. Football's back. I'm happy. Um, Luckily, we got a bunch of other teams to look at, to take time away from watching bad football from these guys. Um, like I said, if Ian was here, he would definitely agree with me. He should be back next week, though. Continuing on with defensive stats, safety, Trevon Moehrig, 11 total tackles. Cornerback Mike Jackson, four tackles, one pass breakup. Safety Nick Scott, eight tackles, and DL Derek Brown, the veteran, six tackles. Obviously, it was not a solid game for us. There's a lot of work to be done. Defense, we'll get into that a little bit later, but I've been saying for a long time that it still amazes me that we brought the defensive coordinator back when we had the opportunity to get rid of him after last season for making history and not in a good way. But like I said, we will get to that later. So just some more points that I want to get to. It all starts with Bryce Young. Let's be honest. He's the face of the team. He's our quarterback. We traded a lot of assets in order to get that number one pick and to draft him or CJ Stroud. And ultimately, we ended up getting Bryce Young. Again, 18 of 35 passes for 154 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions, and also a fumble. We're going into year three. This is three opening games in a row for Bryce Young of not performing well. And there wasn't really much of an expectation going into this game. I mean, we know we ended off on a solid note last season against the Falcons, but we hoped we could come back out and perform like we did ending off the season last year, but it looks like we took a step back. I'm not sure what happened. Obviously, Bryce Young, the confidence is back down. He seems like he's not fully believing in himself when he plays. Again, me and Ian spoke of this on episode one of this new season. If Bryce Young does not perform this season, or even midway through the season, if we keep on this, rate that we're going, there's going to be a lot of conversations going on. And the team is going to have to start, or higher up admin with this team is going to have to start having some conversations about who is it that we're going to, you know, or what are we going to do with the quarterback position? I mean, it's starting to look like Bryce Young may not even be a NFL quarterback. Now, needless to say, if another team got him, I wouldn't be surprised if he had a successful career once leaving the Panthers. If he leaves the Panthers, I mean, we got him as the future face and future leader of this team. But going into year three, he's still not taking that next step. I was a Bryce Young fan as he was coming out of college. He was so fun to watch at Bama. And it felt like we were getting a needle mover for this team following the bit of quarterback. I don't even know what to call it, the bit of quarterback experiments that we had from Teddy Bridgewater to Sam Darnold to Baker Mayfield, and also bringing Cam Newton back during the Sam Darnold era. So it's time we start having that conversation. Before there were a lot of people defending him, such as myself in that first year, just discussing how there was really nothing around him. Frank Reich was also the leader. He didn't even last a full season before getting let go. We also didn't have a true, receiver besides Thielen. I mean, he was there that year, but he wasn't, that wide receiver one, even though they played him like he was. He's a veteran. Guys, it's time to start looking at Bryce Young. I know some have been looking at Bryce Young already, but we are ultimately to that point where it's no reason that Bryce Young is not, you know, being talked about, not playing blame game, but ultimately he's the quarterback. He's the one that makes things happen offensively. And 18 of 35 passes for 154 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions. That's not going to cut it moving forward. This organization has been talking about turning it around and becoming a winning organization, but we haven't. So on to the next, because I could talk about that all day, but I don't want that to be the purpose of this episode. This episode is to cover week one against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and there's more to it than just Bryce Young. Run defense, that's still an issue. Run defense allowed 200 yards from the Jags. 200 yards. And for those that do not know this stat, in fact, the Panthers have allowed 200 rushing yards over the past 6 games, which goes into last season as well. That's a problem. And I keep repeating it, and I can't keep repeating it enough. I cannot believe we haven't moved on from Evero, the defensive coordinator. Last year should have been enough to move on from him. I mean, Dave Canales, I think he's finally starting to see it. Some of his, post game conference and conferences throughout the week have been. I mean, he's a positive guy all around. He repeats a lot. He says the same things after many losses, along with Bryce Young, but it is time to start looking a different route as far as defense goes. We need someone else leading because there's no way that the defense is going to last this whole season with the same leader leading them. This is beyond ridiculous. And I'm not being a hater. I love my team. I'm a proud native of Charlotte, North Carolina, but it's been too long that we've been rinsing and repeating with this team. No matter what we do, no matter what trades we make, no matter who we bring on, it seems to result in the same outcome. And we were also last season under the same defensive coordinator. We placed third in most rushing yards allowed in a season. If we do it again this year, we could easily get to that second spot. Again, there's not much to defend this team anymore, and there wasn't much to defend to begin with. But we're getting to that point where if Ian were here, I know he would say the same thing. We don't even know what it could be done for this team. And we are proud fans of this team. We love covering this team, but it gets hard. It's hard, and you don't want to jump ship and join another fandom. I mean, many would say you're not a true fan if you're going to just do that so easy. You got to stick through the hard times. And sometimes they say it gets worse before things get better. It's been about almost 10 years since the 2015-16 season, which is our best season probably ever, 15-1. We want to get back to that. But what we've got now, I don't see where we're going to get to that at this rate, respectfully. Now, my next point, the offensive line. There's no rhythm amongst our offensive line, or just our offense in general, not even just the line. From snapping the ball at like the 3 second mark, having to rush out the huddle. You know, we only had 10 points and 255 total yards offensively. There's no progress. We took a step back compared to how we ended last season. Personally, I'm going to need Rod Wade to give Bryce Young another call. And whatever he told him that first time, it worked for him when he got benched week 2 of last year for Andy Dalton for those bit of games. Whatever he did then is going to have to, he's going to have to work again this year. Or if not, I'm, I'm not sure what the, solution could possibly be. I'm trying to be a believer. I don't want to completely say Bryce Young is a bust, but starting off a third week 1 in a row with the same kind of game, going into Arizona, which to me is another not great team, better than the Panthers. I'll say that. I feel like we could if we get our minds right as a team and can compete properly, I feel like we could win that game. But if we play like we did, they will look like a great team against us, just like the Jacksonville Jaguars did. Just being honest about it. I, and I keep, acknowledging Ian. I know he would say the same exact thing. And we're playing in Arizona. We're not even playing at home. So hopefully this week they were able to look at film, get it together. And also Bryce Young, whatever happened with him and Coach Canales, where Coach Canales, patted his head, Bryce Young slammed his helmet on the bench. Not a good look. And it makes you question the chemistry between the two. Hopefully they're not starting to butt heads. Because this is already Bryce Young's second coach in his not even a full 3-year career yet. So it's about time for, well, not quite time yet, but if we get to week 5 and it's the same thing, there's going to be some conversations had, and that some changes are going to have to be made because this organization cannot take another year like last year. Only won 5 games last year, 2 the year before. Right now, I don't. The way we're looking, if we keep continuing this way, we won't even reach 5 wins again. Just being honest about it. Another issue of mine was the turnovers. 2 first half turnovers, 1 interception, 1 fumble. And the Jaguars took advantage of every single one of those turnovers. Even if they didn't score a touchdown, they still got in field goal range. And we couldn't do that anytime we got the ball back. And if again, it felt like the game should have been further than what it was score wise. You would have thought it would have been like a 30, 40 plus point game against our 10 points. And when we did finally score that touchdown, it wasn't much to be excited about for it. The game was over at that point. It was already out of our hands pretty early. And I'm sure a lot of Panther fans, like I did, thought that weather delay would have helped them get their minds together from a slow start of the game. But not at all. Jaguars, it worked in their benefit, didn't work in ours at all. And I also mentioned our offensive line struggles. I acknowledged it earlier. We get out of that huddle really late. They're always rushing to get to the line, and Bryce Young is rushing to snap that ball. And we're already at that 3-2-1 mark. We're really pushing it, and they're just scrambling to get the play going. Doing that, and I'm sure, again, Ian would agree with this. I know he would. Doing that is not setting us up for success on each drive at all. There is a lot to be done. And today, Dave Canales in his press conference acknowledged that that's not how they typically play. That's not how they want to play. And they need to work on getting that together. And it makes you wonder sometimes, too, is the team or is the play calling getting made by Coach Canales? Coach Canales is supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. He was there for Baker Mayfield when he first joined Tampa. He helped make Bryce Young look a little better after his benching last year. It makes you question a lot of different things. Now, if that is the case, then that just shows how dysfunctional this organization is. And need I say, this organization is going to keep on going down. So, all of that to say, going into week 2 versus the Cardinals in Arizona, I hope they take this week to look in the mirror, as Bryce Young kept saying in his post-game interview. They need to look in the mirror, fix what needs to be fixed, get in sync, get in rhythm, and go out and play some competitive football. Because I believe there's talent with this team. It's a young team. Xavier Legette, he needs to step up. He needs to be that receiver that we drafted him in the first round last year for. Because he let a rookie, Ted McMillan, come in and outdo him this first game. I know it's only 1 game, but Ted McMillan showed heart. He did everything he could to try to get the ball in his hands. So, Buzzpound, I know this is a shorter episode today. I didn't have my partner with me today, but he should be back next week. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have a better game to talk about. Even if we lose, hopefully it could at least be a competitive one, not be a blowout, not be out of our hands early. And today, we do not have any Hornets news at all. I know in October the season starts, so it'll be that time again to cover both teams. And looks like a lot of the players now are just getting a bunch of summer workouts in. I saw Colin Sexton today, clips of him getting some workouts in, Miles Bridges. So hopefully those guys can come back and have somewhat of a better year. You kind of expect the rinse and repeat as well. But for me, Ian, as always, go Panthers, go Hornets. It's not many of us out here. That's why we got this platform for those people and for any supporters of ours. But as always, you can listen to our podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and you can always find us on Instagram and X at BuzzPoundPod. And I'm Cam Gardner, your co-host. Ian should be back next week. Keep pounding and keep the Hive mentality.
Right! Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Buzz Pound. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and let us know what you thought of this episode. Until next time, this is the Buzz Pound.
Touchdown!